You are going from Nation wants to know to Ishan wants to know over here. So, hello, welcome back
Hello.
to Playstyle podcast. It's been so long since I did my last episode that I had to remember what's the name of this podcast. So I'm finally back, another episode, and this time I have an amazing guest who I just randomly spammed on Twitter saying that, hey, do you want to talk about games? And that guy said, yes, why not? I'll let you introduce yourself and welcome to the show, Meghnad.
Hi, I'm Meghnad. I sometimes identify myself as a journalist, sometimes as a political analyst, sometimes as a public policy professional. And I basically am a YouTube creator. I have created some shows for News Laundry. And currently, I'm not working with News Laundry. And that's why I'm doing this podcast because I'm villa, basically jobless. And thank you for inviting me. And the reason why I quickly responded is it's because it's so rare that I get to talk to the other thing I love. One is, of course, Parliament. The other thing I love is gaming. I am a big gamer, and I'm very excited about this.
You mentioned you are not working with News Laundry anymore. I also follow News Laundry. I
Yeah.
have been following your work there. And when you mentioned you are not working anymore, and then you had tweeted something about gaming, I'm like, oh,
Yes.
you might be free to talk about games now. So that's how I messaged you as
I
well.
think you messaged me because of that tweet I did on would you be interested in watching me
Yes,
talk about current affairs while I'm playing random strategy games?
yes.
And it got like a 57% yes and 43% no. Like on the poll, there were like some 1500 votes, not much. But but I was like, there is something there. I might actually do it
Yes,
this
if you
week.
do it, that
So,
would be cool. And that's what, like, the reason I do this podcast is I make games. I have been making games for a long time now.
right.
And I always have this circle of friends who I talk to about games. They mostly somehow are related to making games.
Hmm.
So our perspective of talking about games comes differently than anyone
Hmm.
else who is playing games. So we always
Right.
talk about in our business, it's like, oh, how does the player feel? How does the
Hmm.
player interact with something? But we are not really talking to the players.
Right.
So, and that's where I see the mismatch, and that's why thought of doing this like an experimental thing. Let's talk about games.
It's interesting, Ishan. So I play a lot of early access games, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've been so for example Satisfactory, right? So like Satisfactory has this, and I think all of the early access games now have like community managers,
Yeah.
which do exactly this, which
Yes.
is they keep talking to the players, getting feedback, and making changes in the games. And I feel like that is the way to go about developing
Yeah.
games now, and it's so effective. I love games where the moderators are so active with the
Yeah.
community. I also spam them sometimes कि मेरे को ये चाहिए वो चाहिए and it's like I get responses sometimes. It's very nice to hear that.
Yeah, we are there on the other side
Yeah.
when we make games, yes. So that's why it's like interesting for me to get that perspective. And when it comes to not just a single game but like your gaming experience, everyone talks about what you
Yes.
have done or
Yeah.
what you have like done professionally, etc., etc. But there is games in some part in everyone's life is what
Yeah.
I believe. So before, like, when we start off, like, I like to
Hmm.
ask, like, what is the first thing you think of? And I said let's talk about games. What was the first thing that came to your mind? Like, we can take it from there.
Uh, I have, frankly, I have very little people to talk about games with, very honestly speaking, because my immediate circle, nobody is really
I
into,
can imagine.
PC or platforming games. I have one friend who has like a giant Steam list, which I
Hmm.
talk to him sometimes. But other than him, I don't think I talk to people about games much, and I just genuinely wanted to talk about it, right? Um, Gaming has been a big part of my life since I was, I think, 9 years old, 10 years old. When my grandfather So my grandfather was an artist.
Oh
He
wow.
used to draw those giant movie posters
Oh
outside theaters.
wow. That's
Yeah,
so
and
cool.
one time he didn't get paid, and they instead gave him a computer. And like so, I mean, and he had no idea how to use it. I mean, he's an artist. He has no idea क्या डब्बा ला के रख दिया मेरे यहाँ पे फीस देना था. But they got this.
Yeah, you got this.
And usme they had like so it started with DOS.
Hmm.
So like I had to learn the commands, and
Yes.
one person who knew about one of our relatives who knew about computers, he came in and just wrote a list of commands on a page and gave it to us and said कि ये try करते रहो कुछ ना कुछ तो होता रहेगा. And one of them was run prince.exe.
Yes.
And prince.exe was the first game I played, and it blew me away. I was like,
I
what
remember.
is
I know
happening?
playing it. Yes.
Yeah, and there was no mouse, right? Back
Yeah.
then. It was just like a
You have
keyboard.
to use your keyboard, and then you see the black
Yeah,
and white characters, and you poke the person, and that person falls into the
yeah. And
spikes.
I remember like I went till I played it obsessively, and I reached the final stage, which is the Wazir, they called it, the
Hmm.
Wazir stage. And there's this giant bridge, and this Wazir and you are fighting, and the bridge keeps collapsing
Yes.
behind you.
Yeah.
I never completed that stage. I tried for months. I was like tuck 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 tuck. You remember you had to deflect and
Yes. Yes.
poke, deflect and
Poke,
poke.
deflect.
I didn't. I got very frustrated.
Yeah, but that's nice. I mean, that's how I remember getting introduced to
Yes.
the computer games as well. It was DOS or maybe Windows 95
Yeah.
or earlier
It's
versions.
fascinating, no? Like how old are you, Ishan, if I may ask?
Uh, I'm 33 now,
Oh
so
yes,
almost
so
in the
same
same
age,
generation. Yes.
same age, right? So I think we have gone through the same journey.
Yeah.
Just that you went into game development, I went here.
Yeah.
Um,
I have a very interesting like tidbit over here which I
huh,
observe like now that I work with a lot of people from across the globe.
right,
We have like we I would generalize it to say Indians, but
right.
growing up in the 90s in India and 90s early 2000s the computer was fairly new. We got introduced to
Yes.
games there, whereas there is a lot of people who I interact around Europe, it's a lot. The introduction to gaming has come mostly from board games. We did have it,
Oh,
but the kind of board games that a lot of people got introduced to in terms of gaming, it's slightly different over here. I see that as a very
yeah,
interesting cultural difference over there, and the kind of people
absolutely.
who play games or the kind
So
of games they play.
I'm a big board gamer also.
Oh, nice.
I have like last weekend only we played Dead of Winter, which is this zombie apocalypse survival game,
Is it
and
like one which takes 8 hours to play or something?
it took us I think 5 hours to play this
Yeah.
one. So yeah, and there are I have other games. I have Shasan and all these
Oh
amazing
yes,
games.
I still have to
Uh,
try Shasan. I haven't tried it yet. We have a
I have
like one of
a I
my
have
friend
a
has it. Yes.
I got a test copy when they were designing it because they wanted my feedback on it, because they also found out that oh you're into board gaming, ये लो फुकट
Yeah.
का copy
Oh,
हमको
nice.
feedback दो. So
I
yeah,
didn't
and
get
the
Phuket copy, but it's
yeah.
okay.
And the guy came to our house and we did a few playtesting rounds. I called over my friends. It was really fun. But growing up, the board games that I have played is one is of course chess,
Hmm.
which was taught to me early on, and the other is business, which was
Which was
Monopoly.
the desi version
But
of Monopoly. Yes.
yeah, and also Game of Life. If you remember
Yes,
that
I know.
chakka
I
in the
know.
middle,
Yes.
and
I used to
so we
play
had
that a
those.
lot.
And so our introduction also maybe, but I never related computer games with
Uh-huh.
board games specifically, right?
Yes.
So
Yeah, that's what. Like, it's just a way we comprehend the terminology when we say games. Like, it is
right,
very, I don't know, I think it's cultural or whatever. Like, that's why I started with what do you think about games? It's
yeah,
like, oh, you think of it as computer games. Like, that's
yeah,
where you come from.
yeah.
Whereas I have spoken to people, like one of the other guests on my podcast, she's my friend. So she was like, yeah, I used to play board games when it
Mhm.
started. Like that's where the thought process comes from, which is
Right.
I find it very fascinating, just
Yes.
considering how we have
The
evolved.
first fascinating board game I remember I'd come in, it was this It was this spy game with a world map, and you had to go across.
Yeah, Scotland Yard.
Scotland Yard.
Yes.
Yes, one of my friends had it, and I was super jealous. It was expensive. That
Yes.
giant game. It was very expensive, and I was very jealous.
Hmm.
And but then I also had a lot of computer games. So I mean, I was okay with it also. And yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I remember one of my friend had Scotland Yard and Life, and of course he needs more friends to play.
Ah,
So we used to always be at his place and then play
yeah.
those two games.
Right.
And then I had like some computer games, so he used to drop down to my place, and then we used to
Yeah.
play on the computer games. That's like super interesting, and it's very similar how I was introduced to games
Yeah.
as well. So it's very
Where did you grow up, by the
generational.
way?
In Mumbai.
Oh, I am
Yeah.
Nagpur, so I guess our cultural, I think,
It's close
considerations
by,
might be
yeah.
same also. Yeah.
Yes, and it's like I think it is difficult to generalize the whole like Indian context, or but when it
Absolutely.
comes to like urban environment, like growing
Hmm.
up there in a fairly well-to-do space and
Yeah.
surroundings, it is kind of similar. So you
And
can,
how capitalism spreads.
of
So
course.
it's like it also influences our choices big
It's
time.
it's
So
the post 90s liberalization. The
absolutely.
market
Yes.
opens, everyone knows, oh, this is what's there, all that stuff.
Yes.
But yeah, we are not talking about those part of things. We are talking
Yeah.
just about games. And then what do you play now? Like
Oh,
we had a lot of games
yes.
earlier. What's up going on now?
I am big time into a few kinds of games. One is, of course, I play a lot of like one game I'm obsessed with is Dota,
Oh,
Dota 2,
nice.
and I have around 3,200 hours in it now.
Wow. I
And
had another guest here earlier, one of my friend who was like
hmm,
super Dota 2 crazy fan
yeah.
once upon a time. So,
Yeah, but other than Dota, so I play intermittently. I've been playing Dota since Dota 1, which
yeah,
was a
I
map
know.
on
Yes.
Warcraft,
Yep.
right? It was a map, and then it became this game, and I joined it, and then I was like obsessed now. So, I go back to it once in a while,
Hmm.
but majorly I am into strategy games, strategy, factory building, games like Satisfactory, and surviving Mars, Frostpunk, uh, and now I'm currently playing Oxygen Not Included, which is
Yeah, I haven't
also
played it, but I saw the trailer or something somewhere. So
yeah.
it's looked interesting.
And then I also like first person shooters. So
Hmm.
Red Dead Redemption is one of my
Oh
favorites,
yeah,
definitely.
that's amazing game.
It's just god level gaming and game development. Sorry, and then God of War was amazing, the
Yeah.
new one. I love how it was just one shot throughout the thing, and I noticed it halfway through the game, and I was like, "Holy shit, the camera hasn't changed."
Yeah.
Doom Eternal, excellent game.
Hmm.
And then I also play a lot of, like as I said, early access games,
Yeah.
which are still in development, etc. There's this one excellent game I'm currently going back to again and again is V Rising. V Rising, so it's a new game which I think launched last month. And the other is Dyson Spheres Project, which is also a game. We'll talk about it.
Yeah,
I'll tell
yeah,
you
of course.
more. Yeah.
I would like to know because a lot of the games that you mentioned, I don't know much about it.
Yes,
So,
yes.
and that's what's interesting for me. Like, oh, these are
Yeah,
the new games that people are
yeah.
playing. Like, and do you play? I imagine on PlayStation and
I have
PC
a
as well.
PS4.
Yeah.
I don't use it anymore.
I mean, you said
I
God
am
of War, so
not.
I assumed. Yeah.
I got it on PC. Right now, when it released on PC, I was waiting
Ah,
for it.
okay.
It was either an option between getting a PS5 or waiting. This time, last year only, I got a desktop for
Okay.
gaming specifically, and it's a beast basically. So it's like a shit ton of money I spent on those graphic cards and everything.
So you
So
should
I was
use
like,
it.
I'd rather get a good desktop rather than invest in a PS5 now,
Hmm.
because the desktop will last longer and I can upgrade it whenever I want.
PC Master Race.
Yes, PC Master is absolutely. I assembled it myself, and
Wow.
so I mean, I went through videos and like, whatever, got parts and sort of assembled it. So Kafi nerdy.
Yes, of course.
I remember that doing that as a kid. We used to do that, like putting in RAM chips and all that stuff.
Yeah,
So
you find
that's
all the
fun.
parts and try to get it
Yes.
work together,
Yes.
all that.
सस्ते में जहाँ से मिलता है लेके आओ.
Yeah, we had the Lamington Road was the Mumbai equivalent of whatever was
Yes.
there in your city, like where you go there and try to find the parts and what is the
Nagpur
best
में
thing.
it was called the electronics market. Very
Oh,
simple.
yeah, very
There's
obvious.
nothing complicated. It's an electronics market. Yeah, it's an electronics market.
Oh, nice. So yeah, so it's mostly PC. And do you play on any other platforms then, like
Um,
mobile
I do
or
have
yeah?
some mobile games, but
Mm-hmm.
I just usually play when I'm bored. Like one of the games I was obsessed with was Candy Crush. I was playing for a
Yes,
while. Angry Birds I still play sometimes.
nice.
And there's this new puzzle game. It's a ball something. Wait, let me just see. There is this Bricks Breaker Quest,
Mm-hmm.
which is
I don't
interesting.
remember. Yeah,
Again, very
interesting.
bored, so playing that. And there is this Sky Force game, which is
Yes, I
like
know.
a side scroller
Yeah.
shooter game. So I really like that one. That's very fun too. Yeah.
Skyforce was actually a game on
PC
really
game, wasn't it?
also on very old phones, like when Nokia was in their
Hmm.
prime doing their
Hmm.
J2ME based phones, there was Skyforce
Hmm.
on those phones, which
Right.
then they did a very, like later they did a rehaul of it for the actual smartphones, and that's what the game is.
Right.
So I remember it from those times playing
Right.
the button phones as well.
Yeah.
Nice. And this is what it's interesting because you said like you categorize your gaming experience into, oh, I am very interested. I am super engaged with these kind of PC games because I really
Hmm.
want to spend the time there. Whereas
Yes.
when it comes to mobiles, it's like, yeah, whatever. I will download
Yeah,
whatever
when I'm
because
bored
it's sport. Yes.
sometimes, on a plane or something, I'm just
Mhm.
like, whatever, yeah.
Ah, nice. Yeah, it's like a obvious difference, but yeah, that's a very like you think of PC gaming as the hobby, and this is like
Absolutely.
a side thing, because
Yeah.
there is a lot of times where people go on mobile games as a
Yeah. I
longer
tried all this
engagement. Yes.
PUBG. I tried. So my sister is into mobile gaming a lot. So she plays a
Oh.
lot of PUBG and stuff. And whenever I wanted to chat with her for a while, we would
Hmm.
just play PUBG and chat. Like that's also a very interesting sort of development now, right? So
Yeah.
I would like that. Like you are doing a long call with like a relative friend,
Hmm.
whatever, and you're just playing a game with them at the same time. It's very fun to do, and like while you're catching up, you're also engaged in this activity which you both like.
Yeah. But then have you tried PUBG on your computer
PC,
or
yes, I have. I don't like it either way. I
okay,
don't like PUBG much. I tried this one also, which is the popular
Fortnite?
one, Fortnite.
Yeah, I was going to
Oh,
ask that because a very big chunk of audience that they are coming there as this is their break where they meet their friends. So this is their
yes.
virtual world kind of thing.
I think it is a big factor in playing Fortnite that you play it with friends.
Hmm.
And since I don't have any friends that play Fortnite, I'm like, yeah, whatever. I tried playing it with it whole. It's very difficult, right? You have to go to
Yeah,
construction mode, then shooting mode, then construction mode.
I don't
I
understand
don't
it
get it.
much. Yeah,
I don't get it.
same. We are too old.
You get too old for this.
I just have to understand what's going on.
Yeah.
It's my professional requirement to understand, but otherwise for playing it's very difficult for me too.
Yeah. I don't understand how people play on a controller that game.
Okay.
How do you aim on a controller? Why is a controller having first person games? That's just so bizarre. Don't do that. And
And
the most annoying thing, pata hai, game developers are doing, they will bring a platform game onto PC, but they keep it as a controller game. I'm like, why the fuck are you doing
oh,
that? It's like,
I
what the
haven't
hell?
played for PC for a while, so but
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't understand first person
Yeah.
shooters on consoles
Yeah.
as well. But then like one of the biggest franchises on consoles is Call of Duty, which is like
Oh
their
yes.
first person
Absolutely.
shooter, and I am like I can't play first person shooters on
The one
consoles at all.
big game first person shooter I got introduced to was we started with Half-Life, right? So
Hmm.
like Half-Life 1 was actually an obsession. we used to get this magazine called Digit,
Yes.
if you remember,
Digit and
which
Chip.
came with a CD,
Yep. I know.
and they had Half-Life ka demo in it,
Yes.
right?
I
Which
know.
was
I
like
know.
a
Yeah.
20-minute demo, and it ended with this giant monster that you were fighting, right? You know, like that with those laser beams. Um, blew my mind. I was like, what is this game? I need to get it. And it took, I think, more than a year for us to get the full version after that. And Half-Life has always been my favorite. It's like the pinnacle of gaming. And then Half-Life Episode 2 came. That was with those gravity guns and the physics that they played with. Portal was one more that came after that.
It's all the walls.
Valve universe,
Universe. Yes.
And it's very nice because then I also used to play a lot of Counter-Strike. But then that was back when internet did not exist. It was a dial-up connection
Yes.
with those shitty modems.
But did you do the Counter-Strike in like cyber cafes and go?
Yes, that's exactly what I was coming to. I would कितना 30 रुपए पहले घंटे का, then 10 more rupees every hour.
Yes, I know.
And we used to spend hours like with friends like on those PCs playing Counter-Strike. Me, my brothers, two brothers, cousin brothers, we had also set up a LAN in our own house.
Yeah.
Because like it was an architect's office, so we would just take over the office and play like Half-Life together or Counter-Strike together. Team Fortress, the first version of it.
Yes.
Yeah, we played that also. Very fun. The other one that we played a lot was, of course, Warcraft, and the other was Red Alert. Command and Conquer Red Alert. So it was. So it's making a comeback now.
Yeah, they have some like, but then that is like all the old IPs are what they're coming out now. So
Yes.
I can go into a very specific rant about why there is no new IPs in the recent years.
Please go into specific rants. I want to hear specific rants and add to it.
Yeah, because I can see that any new projects that are happening, I just don't say it for games, but for movies, for example, whatever new hype is happening, it's always on a IP that is at least 10 years old at this point.
Yeah.
There are no new IPs which have built in, I can say, in last 5 years. I don't know, like I'm talking about this with a lot of people, and I asked them this question: do you remember any new IP that is like a IP in the last 5 years? I haven't got a very convincing answer yet.
I would disagree with you there a bit though.
Yeah.
So what happens? I mean, it happens with movies. It happens with everything.
Yes.
Actually, there's a AAA, AAA market, which is like the big publishers making their own games, whatever they're doing, which I think is reliant on nostalgia market.
Yes.
Which is basically they're like rebooting old games into new graphics, all that stuff, and people are still paying for it. I also did it. I paid for BioShock.
Yeah.
No reason. I have played it before, but I want to like new HD graphics.
New
whatever.
graphics I will play again. Yes.
It's still fun to play. To be perfectly fair, again, an excellent game. And so I think that is the AAA segment of gaming. But what I am now more interested in is what is the indie gaming scene up to. And a lot of games I play, most of the games I play, in fact, are all indie games. From indie developers, like 1-2 teams, 2-3 people making games, and I feel like that is where the real innovation is happening.
Yes.
So IPs have been created, but not by big companies, by these tiny, small developers, which I think, say for example, Satisfactory is an IP which has been created by this small team, Coffee Stains, and then maybe now it is becoming like this giant thing. No Man's Sky was another one which was, I think, a new IP. Again, mind-blowing game. Had like some goof ups in the beginning, but now it's such a giant.
I've heard
game.
that. Like a lot of people, lot of their recent videos have comments saying that this is such a great game now.
Yes,
I
got it. I got it on my PS3 when it released. Okay. No Man's Sky, and it was okay. I would say it was playable. It was okay, but I lost interest very quickly. I get a PS4. I put in get a new No Man's Sky CD. Again, I downloaded it and I played it again, and it's like completely different. So I was more interested in it, but still I was like, okay, whatever. Then they started dropping a patch a month. right? And the entire game transformed, and now I got it on my PC, and it's just like this old giant universe which there's like thousands of things to do.
Wow.
It's amazing. It has just over I think 10 years it has transformed into this excellent game based on customer feedback.
Yes, but
Yeah.
that's what I say. Like when it comes to new games or new stuff that is happening, you like to play indie games. That's amazing. But
Mm.
most of the like it is mostly a mass market business. Like when it
Mm.
comes to big titles, what gets famous or something like that, and then it spins off into IPs. Like the
Yes.
closest example is Avengers. Like
Oh good
Avengers,
lord, such
they
shit
the
games of.
yeah, not
Uh,
not not the games I won't talk about. just
uh,
just movies. Like even with
yeah,
movies, it's an IP which started like it's books. Then even with movies, it has the cinematic universe has been going on for like 2005 or whatever,
of course.
like
Yeah.
forever. And any new hype is always built on, oh, you know Marvel, you know Iron Man, you
Makes
know
sense,
whatever.
yeah.
It's that. When it comes to building anything new, and I think it's also because the what everyone complains about of this new
Oh,
generation
can
having
I?
less like attention spans. You
Huh.
don't have enough attention spans to actually remember anything to make it enough like a nostalgia factor going 5 years down the line.
No, but you know
Sorry.
what? I'll just talk about games here for a
Yeah,
minute. I want to add to your rant.
yeah.
Not only are they recycling same old IPs with familiar characters or whatever, they're making games for auto aimers and button mashers. I hate that. I hate that. Like, if you're put some freaking effort into your games, man. Why is there an auto aim? Why is there X-ray vision? Like, why can I see the guy behind the wall? I don't want to see that man. I want to be shook when the man comes out and shoots at me, right? Shit AI. Like, you're standing in front of them and the AI, you go back and the AI just go back to its position. It's random. And they don't put any effort. They know that, oh, these suckers will buy these games because of Iron Man or whatever, Guardians
Oh,
of the
this is the
Galaxy
Avengers
garbage.
games, yes.
Yeah, like all these reboots and whatever. So, oh, these suckers who came from Marvel universe, they will come and buy these games, and we will just, just pillowify whatever we want. वो लेने तो वाले हैं. We will price it highly, और फिर कुछ भी garbage बना के डाल देंगे तो खरीदेंगे. And that is exactly what is happening, and which is so tragic because with indie games, they put up like these challenges after challenges. There's such difficult games out there which have like this steep ass learning curve, right? And that is what I've always enjoyed as a gamer, right? Like that level 12 Wazir, I fought it for months.
Yeah.
I wanted that. But यहाँ पे गार्डियंस में एक तो ऑटो एम हो रहा है, एक्सरे विजन हो रहा है, I screw
Yeah,
that
it's
shit.
it's basically the like I always compare this kind of market to how movies are made. We have those
Yes.
massy movies which you don't have to think about, do whatever, and then there is like the actual movies which actual movies by which I mean like where you actually feel like, oh wow, this is something going on, and that
Yeah.
basically like it happens a lot on the indie scene for
Hmm.
sure because everyone makes it for the game
Yeah.
and not just for the money that the IP is bringing to you.
Yeah.
And
Basically, passionate developers who are
yeah,
also tired of AAA games. They're like, I can make a better game. Le lo.
it is actually super difficult to do that even. So
Yeah.
being in the industry, well, I work on the mobile games. So since we
Yeah.
are not hating on mobile games, I'll be okay with your hate. But even to cater to all different kind of audiences, you have to do some like
Yeah.
things because
It makes
I
me
know
sad though. It makes
yeah.
me very sad as a hardcore gamer. It makes me sad how simple the games are becoming and so brainless. I
It's
don't like that. I mean, think about it, right? Like these big gaming companies have so much resources now, right? They have so much money. They can hire an army of developers. They can do
mhm.
all that stuff. I think Naughty Dog is the only one who I think is making still legit games, and I think Rockstar is as well, which is
They are making games forever, like
yeah.
and
I mean, but at least they're like racking up the difficulty level as they go on, or they are putting up some sort of challenge. But then there are other gaming companies which are just like garbage. It's like they just dish out garbage after garbage, and people will buy it. right? And they have so many resources. You can make good games, so why not? And these are also hardcore gamers which came from a gaming background. Most developers are. I mean, of course, like you are. They also know they're making shit games. So it's like,
This is not talking about me. It's generally about console audience. I would just like to
yes.
clarify. I
Please don't fire him. Please don't fire him.
yeah,
Whichever
I
place
don't
he
make
works with.
I don't make shit games. I make amazing games. It's so much fun. Like because I was going to ask you like what do you like or what do you
Yeah.
like dislike about it. You gave me so much content. That's amazing.
What I like about the indie scene also, so I play a lot of strategy and simulation games, right? And strategy game wise, Frostpunk is a masterpiece, like city building wise, and it's so challenging. I love it. Frostpunk is this game where you are in this post winter global warming winter game, and it's based in the 80s. And you have this one giant heater in the middle, and you have to build a city around it while maintaining the heater.
Oh,
It's
nice.
a
Yes,
coal-fired heater.
yeah, I'm just looking at screenshots on the site just to
Yeah,
see how it looks like. Oh,
and it's actually a beautifully designed games with great voiceovers and great the city building aspects of it are very nicely designed. I really like how these game developers are thinking there, right? Like it's very challenging. Plus, I like these games where you run out of resources, then you have to figure out something quickly, and then you have to do something else. You can pause the game, think about it, and
yeah.
then do it. I really like that kind of games. So, Factorio is one more thing which I played a bit, but similar to that is Dyson Sphere Project. I highly recommend whoever is listening to this and Ishan also play Dyson
Yes.
Sphere Project because it's a beautifully made game where you are this one robot, let's call it, called Icarus, right? Who is trying to build a Dyson sphere around a star. And it's like you start with iron, copper, coal, then you move on to like silicon, titanium, then you move on to building ships which go and make that Dyson sphere. And you can travel from planet to planet, star to star. So it's like this giant map where you have multiple stars where you can build Dyson spheres on. And it takes hours. And it takes so much thinking and dedication and calculations also because you have to convert iron into plates, then plates into other things, and then circuits, and then you go on to create solar panels, and then solar panels will power, and then you run out of energy. Then you have to figure out how to extract energy from the sun, and it's like it's very cool.
Yeah, it's called Dyson Sphere Program. I just
Yeah,
checked.
Dyson
Yes,
Sphere
yeah,
Program,
yeah.
yes.
Nice.
And that is one game I've been obsessed with. Satisfactory is another similar vein. It's just first person, so it makes it more immersive that way. And other than that, Oxygen Not Included is another one that I started right now. Again, same sort of
Same kind
lines.
of genre. But
Yeah.
then, do you like to try other genres, or would you be like in the?
I do try a lot of genres. I mean, I am also sometimes a sucker for AAA games, but I'm
Yeah, of
very
course, like
disappointed
everyone
now.
is.
The last two games I bought, which were big, were Cyberpunk and Biomutant, right? Both of them disappointing. When they launched, I still have Cyberpunk. I want to go back to it because now they've
I-
dropped a giant patch.
Yeah, I think so. Cyberpunk is another thing which has improved over time. Is what
Yeah,
I heard.
exactly. I want to go back to it. I'll probably go back to it at some point. And the other one actually was God of War that I bought, so it's okay. God of War
God
is
of War
nice.
is nice. Yes.
Excellent game.
I'm
yeah.
also waiting for their next one, but it's probably
Yes.
PS5 only. So I
Yeah.
don't know. I still don't have a PS5, and I will
Another
control
good
myself.
big game is Borderlands.
Yes.
I like that as a first-person shooter, like Borderlands 3. I got their new one, which is Tiny Tina's Wonderland. It's also like a Borderlands 3 premise game.
Yeah.
It's decent. I won't say it's bad, but I like Borderlands 3 more.
Yeah, I remember playing Borderlands 2 or the first
Ah, yeah.
Borderlands, which was also
Yeah.
like quite interesting because they had all this part of just randomly generating weapons and
Yes.
millions of them, like because of
That's
combinations.
also
and-
very fascinating. You have to like loot all the weapons
Yes.
and keep playing it again and again to loot more weapons.
Yeah, you keep doing grind again and again in order to
Grinding.
loot. loot weapons and all that. And then, like, because you gave all these examples of games, like these are all mostly single player experiences. Do you
Yes.
go towards multiplayer, or do you like just
I
stay
think
away?
Dota is the one that I go towards multiplayer with. V Rising is actually multiplayer.
Okay.
V Rising is this other game. So you are essentially in a world where vampires have been eradicated, and you are born as a vampire, and you have to take over the map. And like you have to become like a tycoon essentially. You're a vampire, but you also care about money. So, so
Of course,
you
everyone cares about money.
so you build a castle, you maintain the heart by draining the blood of villagers. You also like keep them in prisons and like keep draining their blood and then powering your castle. You can build like giant castles out of it, and you have to craft your gear and kill bosses. And so it's a nice. I really like the loop of the game. Never gets boring. Again, it's multiplayer. It can be PvP or PvE, either way.
Yeah.
But I like the PvP part of it, where other vampires are also trying to do the same thing, and
Yeah.
you're like fighting every once in a while when you run across them on the map.
Yeah, it's like because a lot of bigger games, or the games which are targeted to bigger audiences these days, are mostly going very hard on the PvP aspect of things. Like so basically it's the Fortnite effect, right? If everyone
Yes.
wants like 100 people playing together, and then people dropping off, the whole, you call it the battle royale
Yeah.
kind of thing. There were a lot of games. I don't know how is it right now, but there was a time where there is a lot of games which came with the same kind of concept, which was PvP in a
Yes.
sense. But then there is like a lot of these single player games that you mentioned. I have no idea. I will be checking out a lot now. I'm super
Yeah.
excited or interested to again log into my Steam and check, but
Yes.
I'll control because it's not healthy.
It is very healthy. Listen, do you look at gaming? How do you look at gaming? What is it for you exactly?
It's like at some
I mean, it's your job, I know,
yeah,
but
it is
other
my
than
job.
that,
Yes,
yeah.
so for me, so I work on mobile games. I have been working on mobile games for 12 years now. So that's my, I would say, my expertise on making games. So that is where I see a lot of my work stuff. But when it comes to anything else, it's not my work. Console games, it's not my work. I can play. So I will not think about that so much. But then again, I'm not super engaged in these games which take really long time to play. So that's why it's just I'm turning into this low attention span person who like,
Oh.
I just want some break, and then I'll go back to making games. So it's my
For
break is
you,
still
my
my
break
break
is
is, yeah,
gaming.
yeah.
Your break might be away from gaming. My break is
Exactly.
actually gaming. Yeah.
And now I'm taking a break by making this podcast where I talk about games. It's very difficult for me to stay away from gaming in some
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I have like over time, like recently in last few years, I have reduced my intake of like PC games and consoles. I do play a bit, like because I have a PlayStation. But then again, like when I see a game which takes like 50 hours to play, I'm not excited.
So like Elden Ring.
I will not play that once because it's like super difficult as well.
Yes. Yes.
I
I
am
got
the-
I got the other one, a Sekiro.
Yes, that
Oh
was
my
similar,
God, so hard. I haven't even crossed, like, I don't know. I've spent like around 25 hours in it, and I haven't even crossed the second boss yet. I'm like, ये क्या game है यार? मतलब क्यों torture कर रहे हो?
Yeah, but have you also played Dark Souls? Like there is
Yes,
a big following
I-
for Dark Souls for the
I did not
difficulty.
like that. Again, difficulty.
Yeah.
I mean, ठीक है, difficulty is great. I get it, but don't like murder me every other minute. No, like I mean, it's okay. Like थोड़ा तो दे दो leeway. Another actually interestingly well balanced yet difficult game was Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. I love that game. Like I've played a lot of Witcher 3. I've played it, I think, and completed it 3 times now because
Oh,
of the
wow, okay.
differing storylines and everything. Red Dead Redemption also I have played twice and completed
Yeah,
it.
I just got
Last
one
of Us.
ending, then I was like tired
Yeah.
after it took long. but I
Multiple
wanted to.
endings, yes! Give me more multiple endings. Like,
but yeah, but then it's when it comes to mobile. Now let's just change the platform,
Yeah,
okay? Because this is somewhere where I know, like you mentioned, couple of games where you play on mobile as a time pass
yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah, time pass
Yeah.
only. Yeah.
Would you ever care about something like this, which is super deep on mobile? Is it because of the form
There
factor?
are a few. I think two games come to mind. One is Plague Inc. and the other is Rebel Inc. I really like those games, right?
Yeah,
I
play
mean,
game was fun. Yeah.
Plague Inc. was fun, and even Rebel Inc. is actually very nice. I think that is the only sort of games mobile play which I kept
Hmm.
going back to, right? I'm not much of a fan of mobile games because of all the ads and the
Hmm.
adware. It's like if I want to pay you, I'll pay you. If your game is good, I'll pay you. It's fine. You just don't have to like reward me every time I watch an ad. I find that extremely demeaning and
Wow, such an
annoying.
attack.
Yeah, please. I mean, I work for a. I used to work now for a
Yes,
media
I
company
understand where
which
this is
runs on
coming from.
subscriptions.
Yes. Because there is this like you mentioned the whole strategy games that you play on your PC. There are
Yeah.
the I would say they are the condensed version of strategy games on mobile, which are more like the idle games, this venture adventure
Hmm.
capitalist, and lot of like build your shop, build your
Oh
mine, that kind
yeah,
of
like
things.
there is the
Is
city skylines also, Sim City on mobile.
Yeah, there is SimCity
Um,
build it, but then I'm also talking about like Cookie Clicker if you have played, and then
yes,
the
I've seen it. Yes.
evolution
Hmm.
of those kind of games. Those also.
Another genre that I'm interested in is tower defense. I feel like
Mhm.
tower defense is excellent for mobile, right?
Yes.
Tower defense games are nice, but there are some on PC which I really like as well. Like there's this one new game which I found called Rogue Tower, which is a rogue like a tower defense
It's
rogue
built
like, which
rogue
is
like, yeah.
very interesting. I really like it. So yeah, there's Defense Grid 2 if you want,
Mhm.
if you are into tower defense. I feel like that game into a mobile would be excellent. I would play it all the time.
This is great that you bring tower defense, because I would have come to this with strategy and something, because there is a another interesting thing which I have observed as well, that there are
Right?
not many like strong tower defense games on mobile
No,
which
that's
have
that's a very
translated well.
big yeah, that's a very big actually lacuna because I feel like tower defense is a great genre for mobile, right? And this can be like short 15-minute levels sort of a thing where you have to there are waves coming in and you have to place the towers accordingly, which will sort of kill them in
Yeah.
case anybody doesn't know what tower defense is. But if you see Defense Grid 2, na,
Hmm.
if you it's a very low intensity, low on your computer graphics game, excellently done because there you have to place towers in such a way that you redirect the crowd that is coming in so that it's more like it goes into kill boxes and you
Hmm.
have to strategize that way. Very difficult game. Not that easy, and you die all the time. It's actually excellently done. That would be great on a mobile. I would love to play something like that.
Yeah, because it is like I say this from some experience, because I was trying to make something tower defense. Like
Right.
NDA, I can talk about it, but
Yeah.
at some point, it's not even recent. It's like in my past 12 years, somewhere I was trying something.
Not
Uh,
worth risking it.
yeah, so, but yeah, it was while it was only the design and like early thought process. There is a lot of actually interesting challenges that when you take a game like tower defense on mobile, for the screens, for small screens to show even like very higher level of showing
Hmm.
complicated small units which are clear enough, and what happens to them in the traditional tower defense sense,
Yeah.
they don't translate so well. There
Hmm.
is a lot of workarounds that a lot of people have done. Like one of the closest I would say is Clash Royale, if you have tried it.
I
Uh,
haven't yet.
yeah, but it's a super popular game which is
Hmm.
on mobile. Everyone plays it. It has its own esports and everything. So,
Oh, okay.
but that they had done in between of tower defense slash MOBA, which is the Dota kind of games, and which they have solved it really well. There are some other games doing it at some. I have a lot of references of different kind of games, but yes, it's a very interesting thing that tower defense as a genre is very classic in a way when it comes to PC specifically, not even consoles. It's the PC gamer classic.
There were, I think, tower defense I got into because of Warcraft maps.
Yes.
Like Warcraft, there were a lot of tower defense games when Warcraft allowed making your own maps and the map editor, right? As it were. Dota came out of that, but there were a lot of tower defense games. Even now, if you go to Dota and go to the arcade, there are so many maps which are based on tower defense. I really like that. I still go to on Dota. I play a lot of custom games also. Like there's a whole custom gaming scene which is mostly like
because normal Dota, if you go, you are just being destroyed by kids.
I have that's true. That's very true. But I have been grinding for so long. I am now Guardian 2, which is a sucky rank anyway. But still, I'm very proud I got there. It's like 7 rank to mil gaye.
I have not played it for like at least 7 years, 5-7 years. Because I used to play earlier with some of my colleagues and something. Then I found new colleagues which were like even pro. I don't fit in your. You will have to carry me. It doesn't even make sense for me to play. So then I kind of reduced that because it's very stressful to get destroyed every time. And I'm like, no.
I'm desperately looking for people to play with Dota. I have some people I've added very randomly. I met them, but I would love to have like a solid like a Dota scene that I want to enter where I can at least be playing I play support mostly. But the thing is, there are either super advanced players in Dota or super noob players in Dota. I'm somewhere in the middle. I'm in the middling category and I've always been. But so the lower levels will not play well and higher levels will judge you for playing shittily. So it's like I can't fit anywhere. It's very annoying.
And especially with game like Dota, the lower levels players, if you don't put enough effort, you can drop off really soon from the game. You will give up on the game and leave. So those lower level players will funnel out. I'm using a lot of techie jargons, but yeah.
No, it's fine. I understand everything.
They'll drop off over there, while the medium ones, if they continue on a consistent rate, they suddenly go into a very pro bracket and they'll judge others.
True.
So it's a very difficult space to be in where you're medium in some way.
Also, Dota now has a big smurfing problem. Because the role queue for the top level is for so long, like it takes you like 7-8 minutes to get a game in your level of ranking.
Okay.
What they do is they create a new account and they play with like people like me.
Yes.
Which is like, ye kya ho raha hai? Was tumhara, you just joined the game and your skill set is like 25 kills and 0 deaths. What is happening here?
I know someone who used to do something like this, but not on Dota.
And it's very annoying because यार ठीक है यार तुमने इतना रैंक अचीव कर लिया तो यू हैव टू वेट नाउ लेट अस कम देयर ना व्हाई आर यू नॉट लेटिंग अस कम देयर तुम्हारा ही पूल बढ़ेगा वहां पे
एग्जैक्टली I knew someone who used to do this on Overwatch.
God,
that was like
that is another toxic game. My God. Valorant and Overwatch, both of them community, I don't like the community at all. Especially the Indian community, the gaming community. In any game actually, not just even on Dota, it's so toxic. I don't understand कि तुम मतलब I was never a toxic gamer, right? I mean, in the back of my head, it's like game ही है, हारेंगे कभी जीतेंगे. How does it matter? It's not like a life is ending. But people take it so seriously, and in the moment. I also rage quit sometimes because people are being assholes. That happens very often. But गाली गलौज शुरू हो जाती है and it becomes like super toxic. And I know you're a 16-year-old child. And I do not want to hear गाली from a 16-year-old child. मेरे को Twitter पे already इतना गाली पड़ता है. मैं गेम में escape करने आ रहा है वहाँ पे भी गाली पड़ रहा है.
You're used to it in your professional context.
It's like, I I came here for an escape. It's a game. Let me play a game.
Yeah, that's a problem. Yes, and
Yeah.
especially in games which have this community, and I like it's very wrong to categorize it in a games where like, oh, where you have a competition between who defeats
Hmm.
the other one. It's not collaborative. That's where the community is toxic. It can be anywhere, but then there is
Hmm.
a, I would say, a sort of the game genre which influences the kind of interactions it's there. But yeah,
Hmm.
it's not a defense of it, but yeah, there could be some
No,
connections
I
there.
understand. I mean, when you are playing a competitive game like a Dota or a CS:GO or whatever
Hmm.
it is, it's always about one-upping the other person,
Yeah,
right? And it is a competitive scene.
yeah.
Like cricket में भी गाली देते हैं लोग एक दूसरे
Exactly.
को कुछ
I
नहीं
play
नहीं
FIFA and I am shouting at my screen playing against
exactly. Yeah.
AI.
I mean, I get it. I get the rise that can
Yeah.
like the rise of anger about someone being incompetent and maybe killing you by mistake. That is always there,
Yeah.
and I understand the reactions. But I feel like at some point, every gamer needs to rationalize that. Listen, it's just a game. We are playing this for fun.
Exactly. Yeah.
Ultimately, मैं थोड़ी competitive में जा रहा हूँ. मैं थोड़ी डोटा टूर्नामेंट में compete करने जा रहा हूँ. लेगा भी नहीं कोई मुझे. लेगा. 33-year-old man playing Dota is like unheard of. वहाँ पे तो 16 साल के बच्चे ही जाएंगे ना.
Yeah, you just watch.
I watch a lot of tournaments.
Yeah, I had a very good segue for that because I
Yes.
wanted to talk about like when it comes to Dota, or
Hmm.
I know you have done like game streaming at some point.
Hmm.
Do you like engage with the streaming content, or do you just
Yes,
create it?
lot.
Yeah, yeah.
A lot actually. I mean, I watch Dota games all the time. Like
Hmm.
whenever like the tournaments are going on, DPC Cup or like international, I
Yeah.
watch a lot of games. I have favorite teams also. Like I'm that much into Dota now.
Nice.
So like basically, I recognize the players, and now I really like how the scene has evolved because I've seen that as well. Like you're playing a game, there is a scene evolving around the game
Around it, yes.
where they are booking stadiums with like proper commentary and expert opinion on oh did this person had to buy a wand of magic or would he have gone for something else or
Did
like
he click 1 second later than earlier?
yes, it's like I was like, oh, what an excellent ultimate by Earthshaker and like whatever, excellent commentary. I love it, and I feel so. I've never been into physical sports or followed any game for that
Yeah.
matter. Dota is the place which makes me feel like I'm into something. Like it gives me that sort of validation ki I'm nerding out about something very specific, which
Mhm.
only a very specific kind of people know about.
It's like watching a test match.
Yes, I
Not
guess.
not being in India, but being outside India.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Cricket is a garbage game, but anyway, let's not go there.
Boo. Yeah. So, do you just watch Dota, or do you have like, do you follow like content creators who are doing
Yeah, I
streaming
watch.
content?
I do. Like so, I watch like sometimes when PewDiePie streams or
Mhm.
like Tanmay streams or a few other people. Like so on Twitch, I have follow a lot of people.
Oh, nice.
There are a lot of Borderlands streamers that I watch. V Rising is my new thing, so I'm watching a lot of streamers play that. Satisfactory is another stream that I watch. It's very fun to watch people because you learn also, right? Like
Yeah,
new
that's where
strategies,
it comes from.
new
Because
designs.
yeah, I never got into this watching stream kind of not even habit, but just a thing which seems very odd to me for some
Hmm.
reason. Like
Hmm.
mental block. Why should I watch other people playing games? Like I
It's
understand, but I
uh
don't do it so much.
I feel like it's a I don't I mean I do watch like Netflix, Amazon, whatever,
Yeah.
but I prefer watching this more, right?
Mhm.
And on YouTube, for example. So, for example, how I discover games, right? So the way I discover games is through YouTube, where I look at top 25 upcoming games in this month, top
Oh,
25 strategy games, top 25 indie games.
interesting.
We
Yeah.
are watching this game right now, and it's in early access. If you like it, please go there. Developing community is very excellent. So that's how I got into V-Rising, that's how I got into Satisfactory, that's how I got into Dyson Sphere Program and all these things, right? There is an excellent game called Timberborn, which is also early access, where you're like beavers who are building a colony and controlling water on the map. It's excellent. Again, super indie game, but I got it because I follow this streamer called Catherine of Sky. She's this sweet old lady sitting somewhere in America who plays a lot of random strategy games. And I keep watching her. Like, it's nice. She has cats who come into the
nice,
stream every
yeah.
once in a while, and she plays only chill games, non-stress chill games, and it's very nice. So I like those kind of streams as well. Like, where I'm just chilling and watching someone play a game and learning things. So I spend a lot of time watching like episodic content of games, recorded games which they put out. So, like, for example, I'm playing Timberborn. So, like, I will watch like 7 episodes which are like an hour long. So, 7 hours there. Just seeing how that person has progressed. And then I'll use some of the things in my own playthrough.
Correct.
So, yeah, that way.
Yeah, so it's more of a learning in a way that,
Yes.
oh, how should I
Yes.
play? And then,
Yeah,
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 it's
exactly.
interesting that you also find games on because of this streams that, oh, this is a new game. And of course, that's the intended use case of that. It's just that I don't engage it with so much that I'm like, oh, yeah, this is how it makes sense.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
and then you also stream? So do you see like something that you try to do in your own stream, or not? You haven't done enough, or
I have deleted a lot of my streams also. Deleted मतलब private कर दिया. So I tried streaming on Twitch for a bit.
yeah,
वहाँ पे बहुत weird audience है. I mean, no, not relating to me at all, and it's a very primarily European and American audience, and also creators there. YouTube gaming is much better, but I haven't done streaming in a while actually. Also because of my job.
yes,
It's like weekend pay. I rather spend time with myself playing games than playing it for other people and talking to them. So I'm already doing so much in my day job, like through the week. I just want to chill, be with myself in this space, and just chill with a game.
Yeah.
Like which is challenging for me. So that is how I look at it. But I want to start streaming again. I do. I genuinely do want to get into game streaming a bit.
oh, nice,
Yeah.
yeah. And I think like in your comment on how YouTube has this more like audience which you can relate to because it's more from the Indian subcontinent or Indian audience itself. I have also like observed that, and I think it's like my thought is that Twitch, and like Twitch being the biggest streaming platform, was already popular in the Western markets.
Yes.
Whereas YouTube, as just YouTube was popular, we had the YouTube celebrities coming up with all our stand-up comedians and everything in that space, and
Yeah.
suddenly they have to move to something where they can keep the engagement continuing. And I could see a lot of especially in the stand-up comedian space, I could see them starting to stream something. Then it went to stream games.
They can't talk about politics anymore.
Exactly. Yes,
So
I
now
know.
they have to find something else. So
So there is
gaming.
people playing games, and like from PUBG to Cricket 22 and everything, and streaming about it, and like F1 or whatever.
Exactly. You know what I know for a fact that these streamers actively shut down political conversations on their streams. If anybody even tries,
Yeah.
They just don't want to get into that. That's why I was like, why don't we do it like both ways? Like, हाँ मैं politics में बात करेंगे, because then that would make me a unique streamer which
Yes.
does not stay away from politics and also plays games. So I want to experiment with that a little bit.
See, now you're
It
getting
would
so
be
many
fun.
good ideas for your next stream and all.
Yes,
I would like to
you know
take
the
that
fun
credit.
part. Please. The fun part is so the oxygen not included,
Yeah.
for example, right? So it's a game where you are dropped into a meteor. You're given 3 characters, and you have to like it's as the game suggests. You'll run out of oxygen soon, so you have to generate oxygen and water and keep those alive and expand your colony, right? It's a 2D game, right?
Okay,
But
yeah.
excellent game design. I haven't seen a game that has been designed so well in a while. it balances the difficulty level with your like desperateness so much that it's perfect, right? Now in that game, the fun thing is you can pause, right? So you can pause and you can chill and you can think about things and like say you're streaming, you can talk to the chat, which is important, right?
Because
Other fun thing you can do is you can rename the characters. So, if for example I'm playing a game and there is a character called Arnab running around and like digging things for me, so I'm
that
still
would
a
be fun.
fun.
I will watch it.
Yeah. So that was my intention. I would play games where I could rename characters.
Mhm.
I did this fun thing. I had a Discord server and I used to stream on that. It is a small closed
Yeah.
community, like 800 people. I used to stream Surviving Mars. Now, in Surviving Mars, you have to first build a colony which is, acceptable for humans to live in.
Mhm.
And then first 12 humans, when they land, I would rename them as politicians and celebrities, right? So, Narendra Modi would be working in a hospital. Like, Priyanka Chopra would be giving dinner to people. And then all my domes would be named after cities or like Brihan Mumbai Corporation or something. So it's really fun because then I would ask people to name the character.
Yeah.
And you can just follow a character doing things.
Doing things, yes, you can see.
And shitting over them. ये useless सो गया तो वहाँ पे breakdown हो गया तो सो गया. सलमान खान तुझे कुछ आता है कि नहीं आता है? I'm like, what the hell? खाना खाता है बस glutton. So it's
Nice.
fun, yeah.
Yeah, it's like those old games which was that roller coaster tycoon, like really
Yes.
you used to just see like who is the person not cleaning and stuff.
I used to name one person after myself for sure.
Yeah.
And then I would see myself going around the park and like with that perspective.
Yeah. Oh, like that would be fun. And this streaming idea is actually cool. And as I said,
Yeah.
I will say, hey, मैंने idea दिया, नहीं
हाँ,
दिया. I will.
हाँ.
Yeah.
ले credit ले
I'll take
मुझे
it,
क्या
yes.
फर्क पड़ता है?
I'll come on your stream and ask people, do you want to talk to me about games?
Don't do that.
Yeah, I mean, I think we had a long conversation.
Yeah.
I said it might take an hour. We are already more than an hour into
Yeah,
our
yeah.
conversation.
I'm jobless, remember?
But still, like it's fun. Like I enjoyed it, and
Thank
thank
you
you
so much.
so much. I think we can keep continuing talking about it,
Yeah.
but people won't listen. So maybe we should like limit
Sure,
it to
man,
this point.
sure.
Yeah.
Do you look at like podcast durations and get scared about listening to them?
I do sometimes.
I have the opposite effect.
Oh, okay.
I actually look for long podcasts. So I've recently started exercising just so that I can listen to more podcasts.
Nice.
So-
I do listen to podcasts when I'm traveling, and then
Oh.
now I am in a habit. I do podcast as 1.8x or 2x speed.
That show is by default 1.25, 1.5.
I started with 1.2, then to 1.4. Now I'm at 1.8.
Yeah.
So my best time is it takes me 30 minutes to reach my office. So like
Right.
I can go for a 40 to 50-minute podcast because it's like
हाँ.
1.8 or 30 minutes. Like
I listen to, like, say for example, Amit Verma's podcast that's
Yeah.
4 hours long. I listen to them in parts. Like over a week, I would listen to him like again and again and again
Yeah.
and again. It's nice. Even Joe Rogan's, sometimes I listen to Joe Rogan. Don't judge me. But
I was going to, but it's okay. It's fine.
don't
It's your
judge
job.
me. Yeah. No, sometimes I listen to him also. It's fun. Long podcasts are what I look for. So
Nice.
a
So,
lesson
yeah.
for you, friend. Do not be scared of like podcast extending over time or whatever.
I don't mind that, but that's what I was saying. Like with you have a lot of context of games. It's very easy for us to get all the content. Like I'm not doing the talking. I'm just listening to what you're saying, and that's what I want this for. With
Absolutely.
with a lot of people, there is not so much to talk into specifics, which is also something that I'm looking for. So I'm not keeping my podcast to a limited time or something like
Right.
that. I'm okay
Right.
with 15 minutes. I'm okay with more as long as my free service allows me to.
Longer conversations are a sign of longer podcasts are a sign of a good conversation also, right? Like
Yes.
you can tell that the host vibed with the guest so much that they wanted to continue talking to each other, and that is why the podcast is long. So
It just continues, yes.
Yeah, exactly. It's that way, right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, and like I'll take this opportunity also to like put in points that if anyone listening, which I hope there will be more than the regular 5 people that listen because Meghnad is here, wants to talk about games, and just ping me, reach out to me,
Yes.
follow me on Instagram or Twitter. Like I have an Instagram handle for this podcast called playstyle.podcast, so give some
Okay.
followers there. Yeah. And
Thank you so much, man. This was really fun, and I've been dying to talk about these things, and I can't believe I got to do that. I
This
feel
is-
very good.
I'm also, this was something that I thought yesterday, and I wanted to say it. You are going from Nation wants to know to Ishan wants to know over here. I'm like, I will be using this somewhere while talking to you. I have a terrible joke for this, so I will use it.
Absolutely. All for terrible jokes.
Yes. It's been fun. Thank you so much. And
Thanks,
yeah,
Ishan. Thanks.
and follow Meghnad everywhere because probably you already follow him. That's why you're listening to this.
Absolutely. Follow me, please. मुझे और फॉलोअर चाहिए. चलो.
और कुछ ऐसा do you want to plug in like any socials, anything?
Not really. I mean, so you can follow me on Twitter on Meghnad, Meghnad, and also I have a YouTube channel which I have linked on my description where I intend to stream. It's called Meghnad, and I want to do more streaming there. So please follow that YouTube channel.
Yes,
And
I will put all those in the notes as well.
Yes, please do. And also, if you want to play Dota, please DM me. I would love to. And please don't judge me. That's also important. If you want to play Dota and not judge me for my skills, but just have fun, please DM me. बकचोदी करना है तो आ जाओ. But otherwise, no, please.
don't play serious Dota. Like don't think of going to the international with Meghnad. Yeah.
Exactly. Thanks for adding that. Sure, man.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And yeah, I hope I'll put this up soon, and then I'll get more people who will be interested in talking to me about games. And
absolutely,
yes.
I wish you all the best. I hope this podcast becomes like a million times more than it is. So
yes,
and this is where it all started. I will take credit for that.
Yes, I'm saying that to all my guests, so it's okay. I'll give credit to all the guests.
Chalo, thanks, man. Bye.
Perfect. Thank you so much.